Welcome back to the Immigration Answer Show. My name is Jim Hacking. I'm an immigration attorney practicing law throughout the United States, out of our offices in St. Louis, San Diego, and Washington, D.C. As you can see, I am not in my studio. I am in Charlottesville, Virginia. I'm getting ready to get on a plane and fly back to St. Louis. I've got to fly from here to Atlanta and then Atlanta to St. Louis. Hopefully, the flight will go well. I board in about an hour, so I had some time to kill. I thought I would check in on all of you and do a little show. I'll try to go the full hour. I'll be here to answer your questions. Um, answer your questions for the next hour about all things immigration. Looks like some folks must be on the text line if you want to find out ahead of time, like they all did, how to get into the waiting room. Text the word show to 314-470-3300. Text the word show, SHOW, and you'll get a text whenever I'm about to go live. You should also, if you've subscribed to the YouTube channel, get an alert that way. Go ahead, everybody. I see Rocio's already done it. Let us know where she's watching from and what's going on in her life. She's getting ready to welcome her students to the new school year. That's exciting. Robert says that he and his wife got the notice that USAS wants their medical. Hopefully, that means no interview. I think that is hopefully what that means. That is good news, and you're always happy to get that without the interview. The green card, that is. Let me know what you're doing. Hopefully, you've been doing something fun this weekend. Hopefully, all is well in your world. I had fun. Yusuf and I went to Noor's softball game yesterday. She had her first high school softball game, and she had a bunch of hits, including a great double down the left field line, drove in some runs, and we went straight from there to the airport, went to Washington, D.C., rented our car, and then drove down to Charlottesville. And then last night we watched the Leagues Cup, the Lionel Messi and the Inter City Miami, Inter Miami won the Leagues Cup. That was really exciting on penalty kicks. Lewis, I got your email, and I'm very excited about that. Everybody, Lewis sent me a Reddit posting where it looks like it's an AMA and asked me anything with a immigration services officer, and the officer had some things to say about lawsuits, and probably a bunch of other stuff that's very valuable. I haven't had a chance to read it because I've been here with Yusuf, but I will read it maybe on the plane tonight or in time for tomorrow's show. So tomorrow's show actually 3 p.m. Central tomorrow, 3 p.m. Central for Monday for tomorrow's schedule. As I mentioned, Noor made the varsity softball team, and that means that for the next 6 or 7 weeks, she'll be having softball games at around 4:15, 4:30, which means that I'll be doing the show at irregular times. So you're just going to have to stay tuned, pay attention. We'll try to announce the time for the next show during the show. But the best way is, of course, to text that word show to 314-470-3300. Kawika mentioned the tropical storm, and of course, we're very concerned about everybody in northern Mexico and southern California. It looks like the storm Hillary, I guess now it's a tropical storm, hit Mexico and is moving its way up the coast. Amani was supposed to be flying back. My wife was supposed to be flying back from San Diego. She helped our son Ismail move into his new apartment yesterday, but they canceled her flight, so she took her rental car and she's on her way to Phoenix right now. So hopefully she'll be safe and sound, and hopefully we'll be getting to the airport in St. Louis at around the same time. We need 3 flights to go well, so we'll see. All right. With all that being said, it is Sunday, and you guys want to hear questions and answers. So let's get to it. Patience is here. What do you say, Patience?
Hello.
How are you?
Oh, thanks for picking me.
Sure. How you doing? I always take the
Doing
man.
well.
I always take the man in bed with no shirt on first. That's always my favorite call of the day. So
I
what's
was
going on,
trying to
Patience?
get up and go put a shot before you pick me, but you cut me.
It's all good. This makes
Yeah,
my day. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I have a quick question. I talked to a local rep. He's not a lawyer, but somebody that helped me file my case. And so when I filed, my wife had a first and last name on her passport, and then she gave birth. And when she applied for the birth certificate, she added my name as last name. So now her last name became a middle name. but on her immigration 130 that I filed, it's under her first and last name. So I was wondering if that's gonna be an issue later on that she has a birth certificate for the baby and her name is listed different. It's not a totally different name. It's just that her previous last name was moved to middle name, and my last name is now her last name. So
Well,
we,
gen- generally, patients, you're right. Generally, I don't like for there to be changes to the name, but actually, this one is pretty good because I think it's even good marital evidence because the fact that she took your name shows that it's a legit marriage. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't have said she had to do it, but the fact that she did it, whatever confusion there might be, I mean, she's gonna be able to explain that she's still the same person, and the fact that she added your name should not be a problem.
awesome. Yeah, yes. So it's that, and we were thinking of going and apply for a name change paper through the government, and he thought that's gonna be, it might confuse things down the way. Just keep it as it is,
Yeah.
and say the reason there is no name change paper is that she got legally married and took my last name.
I agree. I agree with that. I'd leave it alone. I think you did fine.
Yes. And as for the timing right now, I'm assuming everybody's just laying and waiting for this 1 year thing because I'm a US citizen, and since I filed, it's almost 8 to 9 months and it's been quiet. Nothing at
With you,
all.
8 to 9 months with USCIS.
Yes.
Where is she?
So she is a in Africa. She's a citizen of Burundi,
Burundi.
but we filed through em- the filing embassy is gonna be Dar es Salaam, Tanzania.
Okay.
Yes,
Cool.
but
Great
I
patience.
filed here with USCIS, and it's been quiet. We when we had the baby, we got the baby's birth certificate and uploaded all of that, and in the website as evidence of marriage. And I'm heading there in 2 weeks to get the baby's citizenship papers
So the
and a
baby,
passport.
you think the baby's a citizen?
Yeah, I've been a US citizen for almost 15 years before I went there
Oh,
and got.
perfect. Great.
So we got an
Awesome.
appointment. We submitted all the papers they asked us for. So I'm gonna go there to get the baby's passport and hopefully, I don't know. Do you think we have to add that too to the case, saying that the baby is a US citizen, or just the birth certificate we added is enough for now?
Yeah, you're good. Just get the passport. You're good.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you so much for picking me today.
Bye, patience. Have a good day. Stay in touch. Keep us posted. Okay.
You too, sir.
See you, buddy. All right. All right. That was patience. Let's say hi to Kasim. Hi, Kasim. You're on
Hi,
mute.
Jeff.
There
How
you
you
go.
doing? I'm Qasim.
I'm great. Awesome. How you doing? What can I do for you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. So, just a quick, if you don't mind, I'm an American-born citizen, and my wife is a Canadian citizen, born in Kuwait. She's lived in Kuwait she's lived in Canada for the past like 15 years or so.
So
We got her.
She's a Kuwaiti citizen or a Canadian citizen?
No, Canadian citizen. She has a
Okay.
She has a Canadian passport.
Okay.
I filed for the I-130 in February of 2022, and we got approved in December 5th of 2022. So
Mhm.
last December.
Mhm.
And we got everything approved to have an interview in July 21st in the Montreal embassy or the consulate. So she went and had the interview July 21st.
Yeah.
Per my wife, everything went very well. Towards
Mhm.
the end of it, she got the little letter that says refusal. And one of the reasons was because their birth certificate wasn't correctly translated, or there was some issue with the translation of her Kuwaiti birth certificate. So
Interesting.
yeah, so they told us to file the DS5535, do the retranslate and certify notarize the birth certificate and
Yep.
send in the passport. We did all of those probably 3 days after we received that refusal and sent everything in. I reached out to your law firm and
Yes.
asked what we can do. And I guess what we do a lot of research, me and her, and one of the things was, do we file a WOM, which is the reason
Yeah.
why we reached out to you guys.
Yeah.
think somebody reached out and said we got to wait at least like 60 to 90 days after that July 21st. Is that correct?
Again, it's not a science, it's an art, but I would say the same thing. Yeah. And also I would say the USCIS approval, that was, you said December of 22.
Yes, December 5th, 2022.
So for me, it's not only I'd give them 90 days, but also the State Department hasn't even had the case a whole year yet.
Okay.
So I think it's too early for a lawsuit.
Okay.
I would say I do have a different question for you though. Can I ask
please.
it?
Yes.
So whenever the embassy or USCIS pushes back on identity documents, I always go back to the visa reciprocity table, because the State Department and sometimes you'll get an RFE or they'll raise an issue at the embassy about a document,
Mhm.
and they'll be telling you in code that the document you gave them isn't the document that they want, or it isn't in the format they want. So if my client went to an interview at the embassy in Montreal and got a letter saying there's some problem with the translation of the birth certificate, I would then take the document that she has and I'd compare it to the visa reciprocity table, because the State Department has gone through country by country to identify exactly what a birth certificate from Kuwait looks like. And I would make sure I would start with that. The translation might just be them not really doing the deep work and saying not only is the translation bad, but there's also a fundamental defect in the birth certificate itself.
I think they also stated the notarized version was not what they were looking for, that it wasn't certified correctly the way they wanted it. So we reached out to whatever, we did a quick search literally the next day, and found somebody that deals with like the U.S. Embassy very well in Canada. And they translated, they notarized, they certified, whatever the whole thing was, and we sent it in the next day. I think that's what they were asking for, honestly. I was very surprised. I thought we did everything correctly, honestly. We were trying to be as diligent as possible. My wife is as diligent as possible. So, we ran into that issue. What do you think? So should we wait until December then, or what do you think is the best to...
Yeah, definitely. You can't sue them now. It's too early. As much as I'd be happy to, it's too early. Here's what they say about Kuwait birth certificates. That it's issued by the Ministry of Health, Department of the Central Registry of Births and Deaths, located in the Maidan.
You mind if I take a screenshot of this page? Is that okay with you?
Oh, for sure.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, but if you just type in visa reciprocity table Kuwait, you'll find it. And then they give you the whole description of what it looks like, right? So was she born in Kuwait or was she born in Canada?
No, she was born in Kuwait. She lived there until she was 12 years old and then moved to Canada. She's 27 now. She's been in Canada pretty much. She was raised here, or raised in Canada, excuse me.
So the birth certificate was generated at or around the time of her birth, as opposed to a late generated.
Yeah, she has the actual birth certificate itself. It's like this old, opens up type of little booklet.
That's the best. That's what we love. So make sure it jives with this thing. And if it doesn't, let me know. But otherwise, that might be the holdup. But I mean, you're talking, it's been a month since their interview, so I wouldn't be too worried. Yeah.
Okay. The next question is there a reason why they made us do the DS5535? That's like,
sure.
It makes us feel like sorry, I know.
It's not personal. It's just that it's a delay tactic.
Okay.
It's a delay tactic, and it gives them some cover. Like, go do this and figure. I mean, it might be racial or religious profiling, but either way, you already did it, so I wouldn't sweat it too much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. It's now it's just the waiting game. There's obviously no timetable whatsoever. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It just stinks. She doesn't have her passport. We can't visit each other. I work 80 hours a week. I'm a resident. I'm a physician. Yeah. It takes so long to do any of this stuff. Honestly, I don't know. So it's a little depressing. But thank you so much. If you don't mind, just one more question.
Sure.
We're on Visa Journey all the time, me and her, and one of the things was they're pushing back on these double OMs. Have you heard anything like that? Where
Sure. I'll tell you the kind of WMs they're pushing back on, and this is why I'm telling you to wait at least until December. They're saying that some people haven't waited long enough.
Oh.
But most of the motions to dismiss that we've received on writs of mandamus are where the person has never had their interview. So if the person, if they're just in the regular queue, like if you watch the show, you'll see people say, Jim, I'm waiting for India or Nigeria to schedule me for an interview. Lately, the mandamus lawsuits haven't worked as well on those, and almost all of our motions to dismiss have been for overseas visa cases like your wife's, but where there's been no interview. So the fact that she had her interview will help us later, because they don't seem to fight those. They're just like, oh, I mean, basically they don't want to let people jump ahead in line to have an interview. But once you've had the interview, if they're playing any games like this one,
Right.
then the lawsuit's pretty good. But still, we're too early, because it'd be very easy for them to say, Judge, the State Department, COVID, Trump. 7 or 8 months isn't all that long compared to most people.
Right. Okay. Wow.
I mean, I was frankly surprised when you told me you already had your interview in Canada. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, we hear so many horror stories by the Montreal the Montreal embassy,
Yeah.
and it's literally just horror story after horror story. So sometimes like it's very hard to like think, oh, we're gonna be the other guys where everything's gonna go smoothly, you know.
Right.
Things have gone half and half so far.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Stay in touch. Yeah, let me know.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it.
See you, buddy. You got it. All right. Andrew's been waiting patiently. Hello, Andrew. Uh-oh, he's got a Patriots shirt on. What the heck? Oh my God, the Patriots.
Somebody gave me the shirt, so it doesn't count. I'm a 49ers
Okay.
fan. Yeah.
Okay.
So
all right, good.
yeah. So I think my question really ties into this, to what we just talked about with the previous caller, and that has to do with motions to dismiss when you file a writ of mandamus. So my case, our family's case, we're going to be consular processing out of Nairobi, Kenya. And it seems like there's a lot of frustration with the fact that, we've used COVID forever as an excuse as to why the backlog keeps getting longer and longer and longer. And so I've made an observation over time that I just wanted to talk over with you and just kind of see what you think, because it seems to me like when you file a motion to dismiss and the response from the consulate or the embassy is, well, we're just backlogged, it's slow because of COVID, for example. Something that I've noticed is that if you go to the travel.state.gov website, we have access to the data. You can look at non-immigrant visa statuses, and you can look at the immigrant visa statuses and the issuances, if you will. And so Nairobi, for example, we know right now we have at least an 18-month backlog on interviews at this point. And so my question is, again, we are not in a position, my family is not in a position to do anything just yet, because we just got recently DQ'd in May at the State Department, NBC. But there's a lot of people in front of us who have been waiting for over a year, some almost 2 years. And so what I've uncovered is that if you go and look at the number of visas that they are issuing for B1, B2s, it's like they're just handing those out like candy.
Yep.
So when you go and look at the same period, the same month for an IR1 and an IR2, maybe you see 15, maybe you see 20, maybe you see 24. And I'm just curious as to whether in a situation like this, do y'all ever bring the statistics up as a concern or as a justification for the lawsuit?
I love that you're thinking about this that much, Andrew. I'm sorry that you're thinking about it this much, that you even have to worry about this stuff, but it's a great thought. My initial reaction and sort of the reason why I haven't done that. So and this goes back to, I don't know, when I was a little kid, they had this show on ABC called Schoolhouse Rock, where they would teach concepts about the government from a very simple standpoint for kids to understand. And I remember that there were the three branches of government. There's the judicial, the executive, and Congress. So one of the checks on the executive branch is that you can sue them when they've taken too long to decide things. And judges are willing to do that if the delay has been really, really long. So the concept of writ of mandamus, the concept of filing a lawsuit under the Administrative Procedures Act for failing to act on a petition in front of a government agency within a reasonable amount of time, that's something that the courts are set up to do. What they will not do is substitute their judgment for the judgment of the State Department. what you're talking about is something that we immigration lawyers talk all the time, that for whatever reason, Antony Blinken, who's the Secretary of State, he actually, if you watch on Twitter, he'll tout how
Right.
fast they're issuing these non-immigrant visas. I think there's two reasons why. One, it's much easier to give someone a 6-month visit visa to the United States than to give them a green card. That's one thing. And two, I think there's actually more money to be made by getting those through faster.
Right.
I mean, as I said on the day that Joe Biden took office, I would have made family stuff the priority. Politically, they chose not to, and that's not something we can attack in court.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I think
but
it makes us.
that,
I think it makes us a little more sympathetic, but I'm reluctant to make that argument because then they're gonna. That's something they will not do.
right. And I think that over time we've been led to believe that immediate family categories are prioritized, and that is just not what we're seeing at this point.
You're right. You're right. It's terrible. And so that becomes a political thing. That becomes something that we've got to mobilize people around, to educate people, to get reporters to do sympathetic stories, which we're trying. And I probably need to focus a little bit more on that, but it's total bullshit. And you're right.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate your time and thank you for everything that you do.
Thanks, Andrew. Hang in there, man.
All right.
See ya. All right. Bye-bye. All right. You got a full waiting room. Sammy's here. What up, Sammy? Oh, Sandy. Hi, Sandy.
Oh, hi, Jim. Can you take me off camera, please?
You're off camera. How you doing?
Good, good. Thank you so much. So I just want to ask you because I've been in the United States for about more than 10 years. I have 2 U.S. citizen kids. So I try to see if there's any way to fix my status in here. Right now, I don't have any status at all. So I heard there's something called cancellation of removal. Is it something I can go to?
How did you enter the United States?
I'm using a B2 visa.
And what country are you from?
My country is Taiwan. My wife is coming from Indonesia.
And what is your wife's immigration status? She's the same as you?
The same as mine, yes.
Did you enter together?
I'm sorry?
You entered the United States together, you and she?
No, we met in here. We never entered together.
Okay, but she's also a visa overstay.
Yes.
And you said you have 2 kids. How old are they?
One is 12 and the other one is 9.
Okay, so there's a huge debate right now, Sonny, in the immigrant lawyer community. There are some lawyers. The cancellation isn't something that you can actually apply for, right? Cancellation is something that a judge can issue if they find there'd be extreme hardship in deporting you back to Taiwan. Extreme hardship for your children, right?
Yes.
Here's the problem. It's way too risky. And I know it sounds like a long time away, but you've survived here in the United States for 12 years without status. In 9 years, your kids that oldest kid could sponsor you as long as you still have proof that you entered validly. So let's say tomorrow, let's say some immigration lawyer convince you tomorrow to file for cancellation, or what you actually have to do is you have to request to be put into deportation proceedings, which no smart, intelligent person would ever tell you to do. And certainly I would never tell you to do that. But let's just say you decided to go for broke and you wanted to get cancellation. So we would notify ICE that you're here. We'd ask them to issue you a notice to appear, or what other people do, which is even dumber, is they file a thin, bogus asylum claim saying, if I go back to Taiwan, I'm going to get tortured or killed, just so that you can lose that asylum claim and then get sent to court, where you can then raise cancellation as a defense. Cancellation of removal is only a defense to deportation. Okay, it's not an affirmative thing that you can apply for.
Okay.
So let's say you did that, which again would be really dumb. Right now, you would wait 2 or 3 years for a court date, at least 2 or 3 years. And let's say you have a kid who has a terminal heart problem or something really serious, and let's say you have a really, really strong cancellation case.
Okay.
And let's say you convince the judge in 3 or 4 or 5 years that you should not be deported and that you should get a green card. Well, there are a limit on the number of these cancellation cases that are available every year. I believe the number is 3,000. So there's a huge backlog. So right now, if people try their cancellation case, they have to wait for a judge each fiscal year. A new set of 3,000 of these basically visas become available. So you would wait 3 or 4 years for your court date. You'd be putting yourself at risk of deportation. And even if you won, you'd wait another 3 or 4 years to get the actual status in the green card status in the United States. So that's 8 years, literally 8 years, all with the risk of being deported and having that sword hang over your head, right? So 8 years from now, your kid's going to be 20.
Yes.
So I would, my advice would be forget cancellation. I'll always keep it in your back pocket in case you happen to get into the deportation. But sure as hell, don't raise your hand and say, "Hey, I'm here. Don't forget about me. Can you put me in removal?"
Mm. Got it. Okay. So that's your advice. So just don't go with it and just wait until my kids reach 21 and can sponsor me.
And don't make any false claims to U.S. citizenship.
Got it. Got it. Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Hi, Sandy. See you, buddy.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. Let's see what TJ has to say. Hello, TJ.
Hey, Jim. Perfect timing. Thank you very much. So we have a little situation. My wife, she got a phone call from the Baltimore field office that they would like to schedule an interview with her. And to give you a background, I guess I was on the show at probably a few episodes ago.
Okay.
We filed APA or mandamus lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think they're in a panic mode, I guess, trying to get that through process because the 60 days due, I think, tomorrow. So here's the thing. So I am a permanent resident. So I filed for I-130 for her, and she was trying to adjust the status. So I guess instead of going through the family adjudication process, I guess they want to change it to, because I was granted asylum and she has a derivative asylum too. So they want to change that. And
Who's they?
USCIS, I guess the field office in Baltimore. Instead of going through the marriage process, they want to convert it into a based on the asylum. So that
How do you know that? How was that information conveyed to you that that's what they wanted to do? How do you know that?
From the phone call, they said, we would like to change the category. So we want you to be here so that you can sign off on that.
Do you know why that is?
I think because the marriage case, because of the recent reshuffle, I guess.
Retrogression. Yep, exactly.
Retrogression. Yeah. So my question is it, in your opinion, is it favorable, I guess, to go through that process?
TJ, I can never give advice about what to do when you're talking switching visa categories. I can never give that out over a call like this. I would need to see everything. But I mean, just as a general matter, I understand the logic. The logic is there's a 4-year wait on the spouses of green card holders. If we treat her as an asylee, then she's going to be able to. And you said she got asylum?
Derivative, yeah.
Yeah. So she's been here a year, so she qualifies for the green card based on asylum. I mean, first of all, I love the Baltimore field office. It's one of my favorites, and they're very, very. There's a nimble. They're very nimble. They're very, like, the fact that you're telling me this, that they're offering that. I mean, that's money to me, and I think that's an example of why I like that place so much, because they're no bullshit. When you sue them, they get to work. When you sue them, they don't play games. And people ask me all the time, "Hey Jim, do you think when you sue them you make them mad?" They're not mad. They're trying to help you. What they could do is say, "Oh yeah, you sued us, lady. Well, screw you. This visa's not available for 3 years. We're gonna."
They could have said that. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think you're sitting pretty.
Okay. Good. So they said you don't have to bring anybody with you for the interview, so I don't have to be there, I guess.
I thought you said they did say they wanted you there.
They want to interview her, not me, not the spouse.
I thought you said they wanted you there as the principal asylum beneficiary. You didn't say that. I guess I missed that. I thought they wanted you there. Okay.
No. I am the petitioner in the original sense, but the 485 is her own. So I think that they only sent the email. It was actually through email, just Friday. And can you come in on Monday? So
it's tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let us know how it goes. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Bye, TJ. See you, buddy.
Bye.
Good thing we have a Sunday show, so TJ could check in. We got the call on Friday, interview on Monday. I mean, that Baltimore field office is something. I sure like that place. All right. Well, hopefully that all works out. That sounds interesting. You know, I probably need to talk to some of the people in the office. That's actually not a bad strategy to go back and look at the underlying basis of the 485 for people that did get asylum. I mean, that's a rare situation that TJ got his green card already and would be able to do that, but that's great. Let's see what Jenna has to say. Hello, Jenna.
Hi.
You're on mute. How you doing?
Oh, still on mute?
No, I got you.
Oh, okay. Hi. I'm okay. How are you? Thank you. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I had a fiance visa, or have, I guess, technically a fiance visa. And my fiance went to the interview, and we also have 3 K2 riders. And so the officer, the interview basically said, oh, like everything went fine, everything went great, everybody was nice, and then gave him a piece of paper. What's that?
Which embassy?
Oh, I'm sorry, Egypt.
Okay.
So, and then, sorry, I'm nervous.
Don't be nervous. You're doing great.
Okay. So anyway, so I guess everything went fine. The officer gave him a piece of paper. It didn't even have like that anything marked on it like I've seen other people's, you know. But at the bottom, he had handwritten in there, approved pending consent of the ex-wife. Okay, but not like the written consent is not good enough. They wanted her to go to the embassy.
Okay.
So we called, scheduled an appointment. They got her. I got an appointment within like 3 weeks. So
That's
they
amazing.
went. What I know, look, dude, I made mad phone calls. But anyway, yeah, I was really lucky because I was trying to stay on our timeline. I thought this was it. Anyway, so then they went for the interview. He went. They allowed him in with her, so he heard everything and saw everything. You know. Everything he thought went well, and she signed the consent in front of them and what have you. And they asked her a bunch of questions.
Yeah.
And then after that, the officer looked at my fiance and said, "Okay, well, don't submit," because the previous officer had said, after your ex-wife comes, then you'll submit your passport. And you'll upload he had like pictures and stuff with him. He said you upload those to SLS or whatever after your ex-wife comes. So after this one though, the officer told my fiance, no, don't upload anything. You'll wait to hear from us. So I was like, okay.
When was that?
That was June 26th or something.
Nothing since?
Well, no,
nothing
I'm
since?
crazy. Oh no, I'm crazy. So, no, after that, I was like, okay, so that's not right. I said, go upload those documents to SLS anyways, first of all. And then after that, I'm like making phone calls, I'm making emails, I'm trying to figure out why, like what's happening. They didn't ask for anything else. Why do they want his passport? They have everything, you know? So, and of course they're doing the whole, you have to wait, just wait. So I'm like, okay, so we're waiting. And meanwhile, my whole life is like imploding because I'm a moron and I had already booked and paid for my non-refundable wedding. And I had already bought plane tickets to go there because I wanted, I know it was so dumb, but I just didn't foresee it being an issue. Anyway.
Let me just say real quick, you just for everybody watching, this isn't for you because you
No,
already know
I get
this.
it. I totally
There's
love
a
my husband.
there was a moment in there when you said to yourself, "This is it," right? This is it. There's no such thing as this is it, right? This is it is when they're actually on the plane on their way to the United States, and even then,
Even
it's a
then,
little
they
bit
can get
dicey.
declined.
Even that's a little bit dicey.
I
Go ahead.
just
Go ahead.
didn't- Anyway.
So you planned a bunch of stuff. Yep.
Okay, so long story short, like I said, I'm crazy and I didn't know what was happening. So I went to Egypt and then I went to the embassy and I was like, I want to talk to somebody because you can't get an appointment there or anything, So I finally talked to somebody. He seemed very sympathetic, very kind, whatever. He listened to my story about the ex-wife and how she came, how everything was done, and he seemed very positive. And he was like, "Okay, let me go take a look at this." Goes back, comes back, complete change in demeanor, and I knew then that we were like screwed. And I'm like, oh God, what is happening? But he was still nice. I think, anyway, so he kind of did the whole like, here's a piece of paper, which was just like their contact information. But he was basically like, we can't help you anymore. And I'm like, okay.
So no refusal, no refusal.
Nothing, just nothing.
Okay.
So then I was like, okay, well, what do we do? Like, I don't even know what to do at this point. So he's like, well, how long are you in Egypt for? I said, I can extend my trip, whatever I need to do. Like, I'm here. Whatever they need, I'm here. I'm an American citizen who paid for this petition and I'm here. Like, I can help do whatever you need. So he was like, well, do you have an Egyptian phone number? Sure. My fiance has a cell phone. So he's like, well, you could always email and say, I'm here until whatever time. If you need anything, here's an Egyptian number you can contact me at, whatever. I'm like, okay. So of course I did that immediately as soon as I left the embassy.
Just real quick. Everybody, did you hear that? The embassy wants you to send them your Egyptian phone number and let them know that you're in the country if you're there. Now, generally, I don't like people to go to the embassy, the U.S. citizens to go to the embassy, but keep going with your story.
So I did that. And so then after that, I got an email it was a very strange, because I've seen other emails that say similar information, but not like this. It was like, unfortunately, your petition is being returned, not returned yet, but being returned to USCIS with a recommendation for revocation. And that was, now since then, I've gotten form emails from the embassy saying, oh, we're still processing, just wait. But USCIS, of course, who I've called, even though I know there's no way they would have it by now, are like, nope, we don't have it. So I think, personally, my opinion is that they're just going to sit on our case because I think they think it smells and they don't like it. And I wanted to know, I guess, am I being dumb and jumping the gun thinking that? And because then I was thinking I would just go there in November and we can get married and I'll file a spousal.
I think you're being very hard on yourself. And I think you aren't stupid and you're not crazy. I think you've done an amazing job of moving this case forward. Like, I wish my paralegals would work that hard sometimes. And they do, they work very hard, but you have a passion for this, obviously. And I want to say, first of all, it feels like you're crazy, but you're not. It's them. They're making you crazy, right? So
I just want my family.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about your history with this person. Is there a big age gap? How did you meet? What was your history up until the filing of the I-129?
Honestly, sir, we have every red flag, every red flag. So there's a part of me that kind of gets it and understands it, but it's still very frustrating. So, and we knew going in that it was going to be, we had all this evidence because we wanted to prove our strong case, because we do.
What are the red flags? What are the red flags?
Age difference. So like 14 years.
Okay.
And religion, language.
Have you ever sponsored someone before?
Me? No, never.
Okay.
No. Financial status, education, everything.
How did you meet?
It's every red flag. I mean, I've done the research. I get it. I know the red flags. And then you add in the children. I think that the officers questioned a lot of things, including even the date of his divorce. That was a red flag. I knew it would be, but technically it was before we filed. So,
You mean like right before?
Pretty much. Well, because in his country, you have to pay out like a bunch of money to the ex-wife or whatever. So
Yeah,
he had
for sure.
filed and she moved out, and all of those things had transpired a year before I even met him, you know, but still on paper, by the time it's paid off, the maher or whatever it's called is paid off, and he can actually get the official divorce. That's what we waited for so we could file. Like,
What's the gap between the official divorce and the filing date?
3 weeks.
Okay. How did you meet?
Online.
How many times did you meet face to face before you filed the I-129F?
2.
Here's the intriguing piece for me. What do you think was all about? I mean, I've never heard of them asking the former spouse to come to the embassy and sign some shit.
Insane.
I've literally never heard of that. So I'm thinking they thought you.
Because what your response was so blank at that point that I was like, shit, I thought that was so strange.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh
like,
no, I've never heard that. No.
okay, good. Because even the officer at the embassy was like, they did what now? I said,
Yeah.
yes. They asked for the ex-wife to come all the way here to Cairo to the embassy. And he's like, oh, okay. So now I see the problem. I said, oh, no, my friend. She came. She
Right.
came. That's what makes it even crazier. Like,
So let's think this through. So if it's them and they never intended to give him the fiance visa, a great hurdle to throw in his way would be have your ex-wife come and say you can bring these
I think
kids.
I think from the gate, I think that's what they said pending this. That's why they were like, yeah, you can upload your documents after your ex-wife comes. That's what I think. I think that was their whole thing of like an easy out, because I don't think they ever thought that his ex-wife would come. I think that they think that she's maybe in on it, or that this is a scam that they're running on me, or what have you.
Well, or you're missing what they really think. You're the second wife.
But he has an official divorce. An
Anyone
official
can get
divorce,
divorced on
and he
paper.
also has the paper from Egypt. You know how like they have their single affidavits and they have their whatever that
Yeah.
catalog marriages and divorces and children births, all
Yeah.
of that. He even brought that, like all of it.
Okay,
I get
so
they don't think it's real. It smells, I understand, but technically we did dot all our I's, we crossed all our T's, and I love this man and I love these children. And the thing is they are judging based on such small things. They don't see her interact with the children. They haven't seen me interact with the children, or that they call me mama, or that it's insane.
So Jenna,
I'm sorry.
no, you're fine. You're fine. So just so everybody remembers, if they don't remember already, I'm really done with fiance cases. And the reason I'm done with it is because of shit like this. And we just had it happen again where they said, we're going to let the fiance visa expire, because if the embassy doesn't keep renewing the validity date of the approved I-129F, there's some procedure where they can just let it die on the vine. So I'm actually surprised that they told you they're going through the effort of revoking it.
I think, you know what I think? I think that little
I think
wink,
you're
wink,
solid.
nudge, nudge email was that nice man. I think I got that weird email telling me that, and I don't think I was ever supposed to know that.
Yeah,
I think that was
that
him
could
being
be.
nice to me.
Yeah, that could be. So I think, I hate to say it, this reminds me of the case. There's some stuff when I first started practicing immigration law, trying to bring Muslim men and Arab men to the United States, because my wife's from Egypt and I became Muslim 25 years ago.
Oh,
So
I
deal
did
with
not
this.
know that.
Yeah, I deal with this all the time. I mean,
Oh.
my wife moved to America when she was 7, so it's a lot different. But in any event, there was a long time, probably 6 or 7 years, where the only way to fix a denied I-129F was to get married.
Right.
So,
That's
and-
what I
and-
was
and-
thinking.
I have a lot of friends who do Social Security and disability law. You always lose the first time. You almost always lose the first time you apply for disability benefits. And I say that because I think sometimes, I'm not saying it's going to work. I don't know if it's going to work. I think it's your only chance to go in November and get married and file an I-130.
Okay.
And we'd be happy to work on this case with you. But it's a tough case. I don't know. I think the chances of them actually ever coming to the United States right now are at about 25%.
Even with a
Because
spousal.
they're in charge. They have the keys to the kingdom. I can do lots of things. I can't appeal a denial of a visa. I can't. The courts say that I can't.
Right, but that's why I thought we'll just let this visa go and just file for a spousal. Doesn't that would weigh more, right? Or no?
I think, yes, it does. And that's why I think it's your only shot.
But still not a great shot.
20%. Even if we do our very, very best. It's a tough case.
Yeah.
And now it has a little bit of stink on it from that embassy.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Sorry, Jenna, hang in there. I'm sorry for you. Thanks for coming on.
Hi.
See ya. Supreme Court case, Kerry versus Din. Fawzia Din filed to bring her husband to the United States from Pakistan. The embassy refused to give him a visa. She filed a lawsuit in federal court. She wanted a reason for the denial. USCIS and the embassy refused to give her a reason. She appealed it all the way to the Supreme Court. I thought for sure she was going to win and that she would have the right to bring an action in federal court to find out the reason why this embassy was denying her a visa, her husband a visa. The Supreme Court said in a 5-4 decision that federal courts can't make the State Department give an explanation. Now, I will tell you, my people, that in the Ninth Circuit, they're playing around with that doctrine and they're trying to figure out a way, if it's a denial of a liberty interest of the U.S. citizen, to not tell them a valid reason for not letting their spouse come to the United States. So stay tuned on that. We just briefed it. The name of the case was Munoz versus U.S. It's a Ninth Circuit case from last year or this year, I think. But man, you got to feel sorry for her. And it just shows you sort of the uncontrolled power that this State Department has in messing with people's lives. So to me, if you didn't feel compassion there and can commiserate, I don't know what to tell you. Joel is here. Hello, Joel.
How you doing, man? Love the show. Yeah, I just wanted
Thanks.
pretty informative. Been meaning to jump on for a while, but I haven't had the chance. So yeah. Just basically, so I'm from the UK. I've currently filed a adjustment of status petition because I'm married and I'm currently in the US. I filed in March 13th, and obviously you have the knowledge to kind of, the tells if the case is moving as normal. And I watched a recent video about how there's like a 50-month wait for the I-30. But on my application online, I don't know if you know, obviously you do, but they recently added like a My Progress thing. But I'm not sure if that's if it's accurate or not. But everything was kind of blank. It wasn't moving. And all of a sudden the I-30 changed to reviewing around July 13th. And now it says there should be a decision in like 2 weeks, but then it says, oh, this is just a rough guideline. Obviously it's just an estimate. Is there any way that I know if my case is moving as normal? Because I've had I've done biometrics, everything's done, but I don't know. Obviously I'd like to get my advanced role as well, but I don't, that says like it could take, I don't even know. It doesn't actually, that's the only one that says that doesn't have like an estimate. So is there any way that I can tell if my case is moving as normal? Obviously,
When did you enter the United States?
I entered in June 2021, and I entered on an ESTA, and then I got married about 7 months after that, and then I submitted everything around March 13th, 2023.
So you were out of status when you got married,
Yep,
and you were out of status when you filed.
correct.
And you filed an I-130, an I-130A, an I-485, and then a 765 for the work card and a 131 for the travel document, right?
I don't see the. I'm not sure if it. All I see is on my thing. I see IFA. I see I-30, I-31 on the online. I see I don't see the I-30, the A. I don't see the A1, but I see all the other ones you said. So kind of confusing.
So did you prepare the forms? Did a lawyer prepare them for you? Who has a copy of everything?
My lawyer did. Unfortunately, it wasn't you, but you know, I only saw you
it's
after
okay.
like.
I don't care about that. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, no, my lawyer did everything. They submitted everything at the same time. Everything looked good. They did, you know, I think they may have, it's going on the National Benefit Center. And yeah, I mean, I haven't had any communication since, I mean, obviously all I've had is receipt notices. I got my biometrics pretty quickly, but as you said, you know, that's no way to know. You just said, obviously, things are moving quicker on one of your videos. So obviously, you know, I did get my biometrics pretty quick. That's all, you know, that's where we're at right now. So like, I just don't know, like, if there's any like way to tell if my pace is moving quick or if it's just moving normally. I don't know.
Did you file for a work card?
Yeah, I've the work authorization things on there, the travel, the advanced paroles on there, obviously the adjustment of status one, and the alien relative on the I-30.
130.
They're the ones on it.
What about what about your medical?
Yeah, I did the medical.
And
but I don't
that's
see
at
that
the beginning.
Yeah, but I don't see that on there though. That's the thing. All I see is the ones that just said.
Oh, you won't see that on there. No.
Okay.
And then what about the affidavit of support? How much money did your spouse make on their taxes last year?
That was actually, I had a sponsor do that. So I had someone else sponsor. I had a separate sponsor do that.
So your spouse, so your spouse still has to sign the I-64 and still has to submit tax returns for the last 3 years. Did you guys do that?
Yeah. Yeah, she did that.
Okay, and then how much did the co-sponsor make?
I can't remember the exact amount, but it was over the amount of the recommend. It was like it was worked out correctly by my lawyer. Like we worked out that my sponsor made enough money, like was, you know, deemed fit. Everything was worked out.
Okay. Okay. So here's what I think. So March is 5 months ago. You were out of status when you got married. You were out of status when you filed. So I think that'll mean that it'll take a little bit longer. Your case will be held to a higher scrutiny because you're out of status. I think you'll probably get your green card after an interview.
Yeah.
You'll probably have an interview because you're out of status. You might not have an interview, but I think you might.
But, I mean,
I don't think.
Can I add one thing I didn't tell you? So also, we're the same age. We're the same age. You know, like there's no like red flags. We're the same age. She's never been married. She's never like all of the red flags are. You know, there's no red. I know for a fact there's no red flags. Like, you know what I mean?
No, there's two red. There's two red flags.
Okay, so.
Yeah, those are big red flags. Those aren't little red flags. Those are literally at the top of their list on the fraud detection list. Those are the first two.
What's that?
That you got married when you're out of status.
Okay. Yeah, obviously they're the red flags. Yeah. But I mean that like with the same age. But yeah.
But all that being said, I think you're fine. I think it's gonna, as long as the marriage is legit and you submitted evidence, I think you're gonna be fine. But don't pay too much attention to the online updates. They're all bullshit. They just make shit up, and every case is different. So I would stop worrying about how fast it's going, and I wouldn't spend much time trusting what they're saying about how long the case is going to take, because they just make shit up.
That's what I wanted to know. Yeah. And then
you're just chilling.
So you don't think? Do you think I should not? Do you think I should forget about that, bro? You think I should forget about visiting my family in the UK? Because that's what I really want to do. But
you're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere till you get your green card. You're not traveling on advanced parole. No way.
I thought you was going to say that. It's tough, man. But I guess I'm gonna have to take your advice there, because that's what I really wanted. I wanted to see my family for a little bit, but I probably should wait.
Yeah, you were out of status when you filed, so you got big problems. And plus, you came on ESTA, and ESTA is it's riskier to apply for adjustment of status based on ESTA than it is when you come on an actual visa. So there's a lot of reasons why you shouldn't leave.
Okay. So if you could take a ballpark guess, when do you think that I would have an interview roughly, or get? How long do you think this
Where do
actually
you live?
take? Sorry. Hello. Can you hear me? Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can. Sorry, Joel. Where do you live?
California. I'm in Los Angeles.
Oh, well, be careful about that storm.
Yeah, it's pretty rainy. It's raining right now, actually, and as you can see.
Is it? Oh yeah, I see it. I would say by the end of the year,
You think so?
and I
Do
think
you
you'll
think
get
I
your
could?
green. I think you'll get your green card before you get the work card or the travel card.
Really? So I'll get my green card and then I'll be good.
Yeah,
So do you think there's a chance I could not get an interview? My last question. Do you think there's a chance I
yo,
might?
I think it's 50-50.
Okay. Well, that's really helpful, man. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna keep watching your videos.
Awesome.
Thanks a lot for your channel, man.
Yeah, let me know how it goes. Let me know when you get your green card. Okay.
Thank you, man. I appreciate your help.
Bye, Joel. See ya. All right. Let's see what Christopher has to say. Hello, Christopher.
Hi, Jim. Yeah, thanks for letting me in. I've been watching your shows for a long time now.
Awesome.
Yeah, so let me run you down how it all started. So my question is, I just want to know why my case is taking too long. But let me say how it all started before then. So
Great.
yeah, I came down with a B1 B2 visa. That was 2017 September.
From where?
From Nigeria.
Okay.
Yeah, so right there, I told them I was married, with 2 kids, and I did. So, but I was in the process of divorce while I got my visa. Although we are still married, but just in the process of the divorce.
I mean, Christopher, I've heard that story like 80 times, right? Like I'm going to the embassy telling them that I'm married, but I'm actually getting divorced, or I get divorced as soon as I arrive in America. Like, someone calls out about that on this show every other week. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So yeah, so I came in 2017. I got married 2019, August 2nd. So I didn't file until 2020 of November. Yes, 20th of November. I waited like a year, it was almost a year, and I filed. Then I got rejected the following year, 2021, because I didn't submit my medicals time and sponsorship and all that. So I now sent it back, and it was reopened that same year. Then 2021, I did my biometrics. Then December, I got my work permit. Then April 2022, I did my interview. And after that, nothing has happened. It's almost a year and some months now this year. I haven't heard from the USCIS. Nothing has been sent to me. Nothing. And I checked the priority date, and I found that I am way beyond the priority processing time. So
Your spouse is a U.S. citizen?
yes, she is.
Everything's cool with the marriage?
Yes, we are.
So here's the $1 million question. Is the divorce decree from Nigeria real or fake?
It is from the customary court.
But is it real or is it fake?
It's real.
How do you know?
Because I sent my brother over to the court, the customary court there, and it's on record.
So he checked recently and it's real?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know how it is with paper recording stuff, that's how they do it. It's on the book record.
But USCIS thinks every divorce decree from Nigeria is fake.
Well, how do we prove to them it's different? That's not how do I make it real to them? What do they need for me to show them it's real? That's the $1 million question.
Did the divorce get finished before you got on the plane or after you got on the plane?
It got finished before I got on the plane.
How long before you got on the plane?
So I got my visa 2016. I didn't travel until the following year, 2017. So during that, I think, yeah, I was in Nigeria for like 9 to 10 months before I finally traveled abroad.
And I'm sorry, you might have told me this already, Christopher. Which field office did your green card interview?
Texas, in Houston, Texas.
And did they separate you from your spouse?
No, the first interview wasn't. We didn't.
They didn't do a Stokes interview?
No.
Did you have an attorney with you?
I did have an attorney, but I've been calling her to let her know. I've been pushing her to. She was like, she called. They say we should wait. Our priority date is gonna be September this year. If it's more than September, I should call the office again. They keep posting me, like giving me, I don't know, like just putting me off, giving me more time.
Here's what I would do if I were you, Christopher. I trust your brother, but he's not a lawyer, right? Is he a lawyer? Is your brother a lawyer?
I used a lawyer to do that back home in Nigeria. He's not a lawyer.
But you had a lawyer check to see if the divorce was real?
It was a lawyer that did it. Yeah, it was an attorney.
No, that's different. Here's what I would do if I were you.
Okay.
I would hire a different lawyer, not the lawyer that did the divorce, a real lawyer, the best lawyer you can find in Nigeria. Have them go track down whether the divorce is valid or not. If it is, then tell them you want them to sign an affidavit explaining all their steps to make sure the divorce is real. Then if the lawyer does that and the lawyer says it's a real divorce, then I would tell you, Christopher, to send it to me, Jim, and then we'll send a letter to Houston and say this is a real divorce, or we'll sue them, and then we'll have proof that it's a real divorce if it comes up, because I think it's going to come up, and I think that's why your case is on hold. I think they don't believe the divorce is real. And if the divorce isn't real, then your marriage to the U.S. citizen is fake. It's not fake. It's not valid is what I mean.
Oh, I've been hearing that. So many times. So many times.
Not as many as me.
Yeah.
I hear it all the time.
So there are two court cases in Nigeria. There's the High Court and there is the customary court. The High Court has a system where you go online, you put your case number, you find it, but the other ones don't have it. They don't have the facility. So does it mean that the court case we do in the lower court is invalid? Like, does it mean that whatever judgment they render doesn't hold water? Is that what the US government is letting us know? I mean, if they want to verify the court, they could send someone over to the place where the judgment was done. They could find a record there.
It's your burden. It's not their burden. It's your burden to prove that you are eligible for adjustment. They don't have to do jack squat. So before, so here's what it says: that there's decree nisi and decree absolute. The issuing authority is the High Court of Justice. There's multiple versions of the form, typically in Times New Roman on white paper with a red sticker. That's what I've always seen with that red sticker. And you have to get it according to the matrimonial case of Nigeria, Causes Act of Nigeria, and it can be issued by a customary court or a Sharia court. Oh, where'd Christopher go? Oh, Christopher had to go, I guess. All right, everybody. Well, that'll do it for today's show. I'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Central. 3 p.m. Central, episode 318. I'm sorry, 419 is tomorrow. 419 at 3 p.m. Central. If you have a minute and like the show, if you could leave us a review, go to reviewhackinglaw.com. We'd really appreciate it. And again, if you want to get in the waiting room tomorrow, text the word show to 314-470-3300, and you'll get in the waiting room ahead of everybody else. But again, if you leave us a quick review today, if I got 5 reviews today, it would mean the world to me, and I'd really appreciate it. Thanks so much. Safe travels to all of you. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you tomorrow at 3 p.m. Bye, everybody.